guys, welcome to MarkWHO77. Woohoo! Yes, it's the video interview show that we do in conjunction with the 77 publications to bring out discussions and interviews with British comic creators that all have some kind of connection to the 77 products. With me is Vicky Jakubowski, my co-host on MarkWHO42, and the 77's editor-in-chief, Ben Cullis. Hey, guys.
Hi.
I love when you do that. Hi. That's great. Okay.
Hey, gotta have some fun, right?
Yeah, definitely. God, I was gonna bring up the weather, but I don't want to because it's hot.
It's very hot.
The world is gonna burn, baby, burn. You know, this is not good.
Well, in the UK, we cricket fans. I'm sure you guys are cricket fans. We're
totally,
absolutely.
We played this 5-day game.
Yeah.
We played this 5-day game called a test match, which is when the batters and the fielders have all these innings in and out, which you guys understand. And we lost the last 2 days, not through heat. What did we lose the last 2 days through? Rain. We have got rain because we're above the El Nino. You see, there's a heat dome over Europe and America, and it's pushed the wet stuff. So we've got Iceland's weather at the moment.
Wow. Well, in South Florida, we have the heat, but we also have rain every day. So, you know, we're getting that.
We're missing rain.
Okay.
I'm sorry, you can have some of ours for the moment.
I'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, you really in that area of the country. Anyway, come on, guys. This is not a weather report. This is a interview show for comics. And now we're going to let Ben do the introduction.
Absolutely. Going to be chatting with Fraser-Coombe. I had the pleasure of working with for the last couple of years. We've met at a couple of large conventions as well. He's an absolutely wonderful guy. His artwork, when you see it, if you haven't seen it before, is just incredible. We'll have lots of images from the work that he's done. For us, he's still partway through a long-standing strip called Galactic Geographic.
Yep.
Quite humorous, and it's written by Noel H. Hannon. I think we're on to about part 5 now, and that will run through to the end of volume 1 of the 77 in a couple of issues. And he's recently, for wider read comic fans, he's been producing artwork for Rogue Trooper, which is
that was amazing
strip from 2000 AD, and I'm really looking forward to chatting with him.
All right. So without further ado, can I pronounce it? Further ado, it's Warwick.
Much ado about Coombe.
Welcome, Warwick. Thank you for being here. Okay.
Hello.
Cool. So, Warwick, question about your name. Why did you make it so hard to pronounce?
My name?
Your name, Warwick. Because, you know,
I think yours, Mark?
I think in the intro I said Warwick until I was corrected, and then Coombs, you know, it's very, very difficult. Why did you pick those names? I know it's probably your parents, but why did you pick those names?
I was named after my grandfather, who was Warwick, and Fraser-Coombe was the family name. So that's as simple as that.
But am I right in saying that Coombe means like cove in the description of the geographical parts of the coast? Because I grew up in Devon, where we have Babacoombe.
You know what? I've no idea. Probably, I would imagine it'd be something like.
And Fraser sounds Scottish to me.
Yeah.
It is. Warwick means mighty fortress, apparently.
Oh,
and it's also Shakespearean.
Okay, you learn something new every day on MarkWHO77.
But what we did discuss, Warwick, before was how many different combinations you must have had in your life of people telling you what your name is, with or without hyphens in the wrong place, different pronunciations, pluricized.
The thing that I get the most is people just call me Fraser, and they just assume that's my first name, even though it's quite clearly in the middle. But there you go.
Or Fraser-Coombe.
Yeah, I get that a lot.
Yeah, Ben, I hope you didn't say it that way at the beginning.
I'm not sure when I recorded the introduction, Warwick, but I got your name right.
I'm pretty sure when I was first in the magazine, you put it as Fraser-Coombe.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that you got credited the wrong way around as well. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, eagle-eyed readers will be able to look through and write to the editor and complain.
Okay. Okay, let's move along. Fraser, we're going to start even though that was a start, we're going to start the show with the hardest question. We ask this question of every guest we have on. It's the hardest question in the whole interview. After that, it's all free sailing, no problems. So you're ready for the hardest question.
Go on then.
Who is Warwick Fraser-Coombe?
Oh God. That's me. I'm a comic artist. I'm a writer, creator. I self-publish. I do work for the 77. I've done work for 2000 AD. I've done some American covers, some variants for Behemoth and I forgot what it's called now. What's Behemoth called now? Sumerian comics for Popstar Assassin and Pop Scars. Probably my most recent ones in the States.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So now we know who you are. Everything else is just like we talk about stuff. We don't ask you. Okay. I'm going to ask the first question. What comics did you read while you were growing up?
Obviously 2000 AD.
Obviously.
I started off on, like kids comics, Beano, Commando, stuff like that. Moved on to 2000 AD, Scream, Eagle, and then progressed to American titles. Probably went straight to kind of stuff like Vertigo, Epic, like the Hellraiser comics, and that sort of imprint. And for me, that's kind of my ideal era. That's for me, that's a kind of golden age of comics. A lot of the epic stuff that was happening in the early 90s.
All right.
Favorites of mine.
Next, another easy question. Another easy question. What made you become an artist?
I was always an artist. It's just something I was good at school, and because I read so much comics, it was just that was my understanding of art. I didn't really want to be a fine artist. I didn't really know any other artistic expression other than comics. So that was, that was the route that I took, I guess. I just always wanted to be a comic artist. Also interested in writing as well. But yeah.
Okay. Vicky.
Well, I noticed, definitely, I can see the influence of the comics that you particularly enjoyed growing up definitely show in your work now. I have to say, I found them very fascinating because they're very strong images. And I realize it'll be easier when people can see some of these images that I know Mark will be putting up.
Yes.
But you've got these lovely dark stories. I feel a lot of influence of war and military. Do you have military in your family? I come from a long line of military, so for me, it struck me as very military.
Very much.
Some of it.
I come from a military family. I myself was in the reserves. I served in 2003 in the parachute regiment in Iraq.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I come from a bit of a military background as well. My dad was military, his dad was military, and I think even his dad was military. I think my great granddad served in the Boer War. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a huge influence, I guess, on my life.
Yeah. Some of them, particularly like the Friendly Fire.
Yeah.
It just tell me about Friendly Fire.
Yeah.
Or tell our listeners about Friendly Fire.
Yes.
That's interesting.
It's a follow-on from my Revenger Shadow Constabulary comic, and it's about an Iraq war veteran who comes back. The Shadow Constabulary. He comes back from Iraq, and he kind of sets himself up on the sort of vigilante trope, and it's a kind of play on that because it's very kind of silly, and it's kind of played for real. And in the real world, you'd become mad with all the violence kind of thing, and he loses his mind. And with Friendly Fire, he's reached the stage where he's at rock bottom. He's homeless, he's homeless. He's got the intelligence agencies all after him, and he basically comes up against the CIA working in London, flying drones and stuff like that. And it's kind of I kind of wanted it to have a kind of flavour of like a sort of like the old school sort of Cold War thrillers, but with kind of like with violence and with all the Avenger stuff. It's all like black comedy. It's really dark, really, really gruesome, visceral, but it's also funny as well. You know, or supposed to be.
It was.
Yeah, I want to pick up on that humor as well. That's obviously, I didn't commission Galactic Geographic, which I think we've now had 5 parts in the 77. It had already existed. I appreciate that. But what won it for me was just the humor element of it, as well as the visceral artwork, the crazy color scheme and all that sort of stuff. And do you find that the humor is something which is ingrained in your work? Obviously, I know Noel wrote it, Noel Hannon, who wrote Galactic Geographic, but I get the feeling you work as a team with this. You know,
we work as a team, and I wouldn't have done it if it wasn't funny. You know what I mean? It's I like working on strips that they don't take themselves too seriously. You know, there's a lot of humor. There's a lot of dark humor. You know, I like things that make you laugh. You know, it has to be funny. Otherwise, I'm not. You know, it has to have some. It's usually adult humor, to be fair. You know, as
But isn't that kind of life? I mean, I don't know if it's because of my line of work or growing up military. There's definitely a lot of we call it gallows humor, or
very much so, yes,
top talk, and it's a way to deal with the destruction and death that may be around you, but it's just part of the human psyche, which is why you have to have the gore with that dark humor, and it just fits.
And it's kind of a coping mechanism for it as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because, you know, otherwise you'd go mad if, you know, you see terrible things, and if you can't find humor in them, then, you know, you would go insane. I think with Galactic Geographic as well, I don't know if you spoke to Noel, the writer on that, but he's ex-military as well.
Oh, okay.
So and he very much has a similar humor. Sorry, Ben.
Because
I was just going to say, so I just wanted to check as well, because obviously this is going to be going out in a week's or so's time. So we're looking at the beginning of August. I'm going to be working with Lawrence Allison on basically some production issues and funding for Warfighter.
Yes.
And you're a part of that. So would you like to perhaps give us a run through what that project is about?
I'm not sure how much I can talk about. Warfighter's written.
No, but I mean, basically, who's it for, and maybe what the tropes are. I'm not sure. I'll do the wider thing if you want. I mean,
it has military themes in it, but it is set in a completely sort of different sort of time period to modern warfare. It is, you know, there's knights, dragons, you know.
Ooh,
always good.
Weird stuff. Yeah, lots of very weird stuff. And again, I'm quite excited about that. That is a very interesting project. We've got Lawrence Allison, a very, very smart guy. He's a psychologist, and he really knows his stuff. And I've seen my own artwork, but I've seen what the other artists are doing for it, and the artwork for it is spectacular. You know, there's some really cool guys working on it, like Paul McCaffrey, Stephen Austin, sort of David Hitchcock. Really, really talented guys. And I've seen the background stuff, and it's going to be a very interesting comic. And it's very. I haven't
chatted to Lawrence about the overall what he wants to be packaged and who it's going to be for. It's going to be, as far as I can, I'm pretty clear on this. It is for the MOD, Ministry of Defence.
Wow.
It deals with PTSD.
Oh,
in a non-linear way, in the sense that it's going to be fictional or fictionalized series or strips. So yeah, I mean, it's not a fundraiser in that respect. They've actually paid for it. So we're doing a secondary or a private print of it, which may have some extra bits added as well. I haven't seen all the work. I have seen some sample pages, Warwick. So I haven't seen everyone's work.
I've seen quite a lot of it. It's really nice. It's really nice. It's mostly black and white. There's some color splashes in there as well, but it's quite an impressive thing, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel it's. I mean, I don't want to give
really
it that
pleased with
worthy
what-
thing, but it definitely has some extra value with it as well.
Yeah.
I would say, you know, in terms of, yeah.
All right. Simon, I was, you know, I read 2000 AD. I'm a little behind. So I'm about half a year behind. I think you may know where I'm going back in December. Yeah, I noticed you did Rogue Trooper in the Christmas episode issue of 2000 AD. How did that gig come about, and were you tickled pink about it?
I was absolutely tickled pink, very much so. It was an absolute dream come true. I mean, I grew up with Rogue Trooper, that absolutely astounding character. It's something I've, you know, total bucket list job. Always wanted to do that. It came about through Lawless. I got chatting to one of the writers there, sort of we had done a strip that we're pitching to several places at the moment, and you know, I said, you know, let's pitch this to 2000 AD, and he was like, yeah, you know, let's give that a go, and we pitched it, but sort of as a backup plan, he said, you know, let's pitch them something else as well, and we just had a chat about Rogue Trooper, and we kind of had an idea for kind of sort of darker, more sort of body horror kind of themed one, and he pitched it, and you know, it was pretty much accepted, and sort of, you know, sort of bounced back and forth. Absolute pleasure to work on. Really, really, really good fun. And surprisingly, I thought it was going to be, because it's quite it's a major IP. You know, it's one of their big ones. And I think Rogue Trooper hadn't been in it for like years and years and years.
Yeah,
so
it was a while.
So it was like, you know, the first one back, and you know, the kind of pressure to get it right, I thought was going to be immense, and I thought there was going to be a lot of back and forth, and it went so smoothly. It was such a pleasure to do. Absolute dream.
Do you think because of the success of that, that they brought the new series of Rogue Trooper in? I mean, if yours hadn't worked, you think they still would have done it?
No, I suspect, because I suspect that they've had it in mind to come back for a while. I think there's a sort of game coming out as well, so it might have kind of been like sort of pre-marketing for that or something. I don't think so.
Okay.
But yeah, I suspect that was already in motion. Or
I get the feeling Rebellion are going to make some major announcements anyway, because one of the things they were mooting last week was joining forces with a major games
right.
Yeah, I saw that.
from you know, company, and you're saying, and you would think, wouldn't you, that their biggest IP are going to get first bites, whether it's Joyce
I mean,
and I put those three in the same page, you know. Yeah,
I can only assume that I don't know either way, but yeah, absolutely.
I love the way that Patrick Goddard and the way that the obviously it's in Charlie's War kind of world, isn't it? The new Rogue Trooper.
Yeah,
absolutely fascinating. It's
yeah,
moved it around, changed a few things, and it still shines.
But I mean, in that nice black and white style, you know, old school proper Rogue Trooper. Sort of mine was a kind of modern, colourful version, I guess.
We do love talking about 2000 AD as well, so I'm going to ask you: were you a Bad Company fan?
Oh, absolutely! I love Bad Company. Really, really, yeah. I was.
And old enough to remember VCs.
Oh man,
yeah, just about.
Yeah,
well,
I'm probably a few years older than you, and it was stunning work. Cam Kennedy's tech is just the best.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you know, like the stuff he you can see why he went on to do the sort of Dark Empire, Star Wars stuff, because it was very much within in that vein.
Did you read the Light and Darkness Wars?
Yeah.
The colouring is quite kind of prescient. I think it's they didn't have that advanced printing techniques even for the DC. I don't know what branding it was, because it came out in quite a deluxe, not deluxe, but a more luxe format. The Light and Darkness Wars, or was it Epic? Actually, I could be
I can't remember at the time. It's something that I only found recently. I think there was like a reprint of it that I bought recently. I didn't know anything about it. It was something that completely passed me by. About a year or two ago, I heard about it, and as soon as I heard about it, I bought it. It was amazing. Was it Titan?
Do you think you see the world in different colours than everybody else? Because your palette is unique.
I don't know. Maybe. Maybe I'm just a bit colorblind.
But
How
I
can
mean,
his palette be wrong? It's how he sees
no,
everything.
it's not wrong.
Yeah.
It's unique.
No,
I mean, you should be
unique.
able to tell the good artists. You should be able to tell from a section or a color choice. You know, we've talked about other artists here. Ian Stopford's color, for example.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
Andy Sawyer's colors. You've
Yeah,
got a
yeah.
palette, and you got one as well. It's your purples and pinks and that cyan
Yeah.
mix, and that really kind of, I love it. I just absolutely.
Just whack the contrast up as high as I can get it, I think.
If in doubt, whack it up.
Make sure everything clashes. Like, sort of nothing sits comfortably together. It sort of hurts the eyes a bit.
Okay, Vicky.
Well, but I like that. You know, when I look at some of the artwork that you can see of yours online, there's a theme, whether it's the military or more demon run, there's still a theme. I feel there's an impression that you give in your artwork that says, okay, this is what I like. And so I kind of, no matter what you do, you're definitely putting your stamp on it. And sometimes that's hard when you're doing work that's either commissioned by someone else or picking up from someone else's start. Do you ever feel intimidated by it, or do you just kind of, this is me, this is what I like, and this is what I'm going to do?
I think I've been very fortunate in that when I do get commissioned, it's usually with my kind of thing in mind. It's very difficult when people commission me when it's something that's really far away from what I do, and I do struggle with that. But to be fair, that experience has been very rare. It's usually people commission me because they know what I do. You know, they want monsters, or they want, war stuff, or they want, bright colors, or whatever it is. But so I haven't, fingers crossed, I haven't had too much of a problem with that, but
Well, that's cool, because so often, my mom is an artist, and she kind of got out of it and architecture, but she got tired of the clients, and they would, their aesthetic was not her aesthetic, and so it just didn't flow for her, and I can imagine that would be very frustrating.
God, but with this is probably why I end up doing a lot of my own stuff as well, because I get to be my own boss, and
that's always a good thing.
I set my own brief, so
and clearly it's doing well because it's very popular, and it seems like the communities out there really resonate with your style and your aesthetics. So I think that's great.
Okay. Well, that's
you also, for Rebellion, besides 2000 AD, you did some work with Simon Furman on The Vigilant.
Yes, that was a while back. Yes, we did Steel Commando again, which was a strip that I remember as a child from like the old Commando. I think it was Commando comics, the old war comics. And that came about through meeting the editor at MCM. I bumped into him a few times and he'd seen my portfolio. And I kind of knew that Rebellion was going to do this reboot of all the old IPs. So I thought, so I kind of knew in advance. I'd heard rumors about that, and I thought, out of all the characters that they had, if there was a strip that suited me, I kind of went through them, and I saw Steel Commando was on the list, and I thought, you know what, I'd love to do Steel Commando. And so I was chatting to him at MCM in Excel London, and he, we were kind of talking about commissions, and and he was like, he was sort of saying, oh, would you like to work on maybe the 13th floor? And I said, oh, I'd love to. I said, what about Steel Commando? And he was just like, that's a really good idea. And that was pretty much how it came about. That was a lot of fun as well. I did 4 pages on that. I also did Scream as well, again, which was another another dream job, because I grew up with Scream. I loved that comic.
Okay. Oh, here's another question for you. We have a bunch of questions for you. This is an interview, damn it.
Gosh.
Yeah, you are one of the plethora of artists that worked on the most important comic book on Earth.
Right.
Now, we've interviewed on MarkWHO77, we've interviewed Paul Goodenough, we've done some interviews with people in it. First of all, are you a member of the cause, or are you part of the problem?
I suspect I'm part of the problem, to be honest.
Everyone here, I think, all four of us are part of the problem. I speak for everyone.
But it's a good problem to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, go on. Sorry.
No, I was gonna ask how you got that. I mean, why did you do that? What was the reason?
Because it was at Thought Bubble in 2019, I think it was, when sort of bumped into Paul and he was talking about it. And he's, if you spoke to Paul, he's a very convincing guy. He
did it because he asked you, yeah?
It was because he asked me, but
because he asked you. Okay.
He's very persuasive and he's very genuine about
he's a very good, marketeer, I guess, isn't he?
Right.
And he was like, "Oh, you could work with all these celebrities," and I was like, "Yeah, that wasn't what sold it." I mean, because the strip that I did wasn't with a celebrity. I said, "Look, I'll do it, but I'll kind of do my own thing because I'm not sure that, that these random celebrities are going to be able to write comics, and it's going to be like, sort of 10 panels a page or something silly." So I ended up doing like a sort of bunch of essentially pin-ups for that. And I kind of said I'd do it, but I'll do my own thing because I didn't want to get some nightmare script.
Well, they were really good, and you just said you were afraid that maybe the stars wouldn't be able to write comics. They did actually. They did a great job.
To be fair. Yeah. But you've got no way of knowing that, and
that's true.
So the script comes into emails or whatever.
Mm. All right, who wants to take the next one?
Oh, yeah, put me on the spot. I told you my brain was not fully functional today.
Yeah. When is mine?
Well, okay, that's a whole nother problem there.
Another
Mark.
show. We'll do that.
Well, since you've been able to do so many things that fit your aesthetic, is there any title that you've worked on or strip or specific one that kind of was, now I've arrived? You could sit there and you could tell yourself that now I've arrived. I got to do this. This is the beginning of a great career. Or did you, or are you one of those people who's self-loathing?
No, I think when I got Road Trooper, I was just like, out of that was at the top. That was like it doesn't get better than this. I think, but yeah, I don't like to think along, because you're only as good as your last job. Yeah. So you kind of never know when the rug's going to get pulled from beneath your feet, I guess. So I probably don't like to get too cocky with it, really. I think because we'll see what happens. The rest of the year it might get very quiet.
No, don't ever say that.
I don't think it will. I don't know, because your stuff is no, I'm not gonna go there.
Yeah, I've been in conversations. This is you either need to switch off right now, or stick your fingers in your ear if you're going to be uncomfortable. But people are saying you are kind of hot at the moment in terms of where they feel that the direction of some work that they like.
That's why you're on the show.
Obviously.
Well, I think that the aesthetic and the subject matters feel very very over the last 20 years of war, a pandemic. I mean, good Lord, the things that we've gone through just since 2000. It fits kind of the aesthetic of what people are feeling. And so it's almost like you are artistically expressing what many of us are feeling. We've got that dark edge to us. We've got that gallows humor to us. And we really like to see things blow up. There's a whole series of movies in my collection that are just, some days I need to see something blow up. One of those. So
I certainly think, like, subject matter wise, I probably, I've been doing this for quite a while. I probably, 20 years ago, I wouldn't have maybe felt confident enough to do some of the stuff I'm doing now. Subject matter wise, and I probably feel that I can get away with stuff that maybe I wouldn't be able to.
Yeah.
a few years ago. But yeah.
Well, you know, one of the things you got away with, there's a book you worked on, and I don't really want to say it, but I'll say it in this way. It's called Skull Flipper. Not really. Just imagine instead of flipper. Okay.
I'm going to say SkullFers. I'm going to
Skull
Skull
Effers.
What are you going to call it, Vicky?
I believe I'm calling it the Skull Flipper.
I mean, you could use that Robert De Niro movie, and use that word because that's close enough. That sounds like it.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you. One of the things I want to ask you on this is what it's about. But first of all, what do parents of younger readers think about that title?
Well, fortunately, when they sort of wander over to my table at conventions, I kind of like, you know, sort of little Johnny comes over and picks it up. It's like, no, it sort of, I sort of do the eye contact thing and say it's not kind of like, and they'll look over and they'll sort of nod and sort of disappear. I have got not for children written on it. I kind of make it as obvious as possible that it's not for children, and you know, at cons, you know, they must steer clear. But yeah, it's certainly adult themes throughout, I guess, is the politest way to put it.
But what's wrong with that? I mean, no offense.
Yeah.
Not everything. It's kind of like whether you're talking anime, comic books, animation in general. Just because it's in one of these mediums doesn't mean it's for the 5-year-old, the 15-year-old. You know, I'm no longer a teenager. We're just going to leave it at that.
Oh, wow. You know, I don't think I am either, to be honest. Ben, are you still a teenager?
I can barely remember it.
I know. A few decades ago, I was a teenager. Quite a few. But it just sometimes what I want to watch now is not what I would have wanted of either my comic books or even and I grew up with a lot of Asian influences. So anime, which covers an interesting selection too. Everyone thinks of anime, Pokemon. Well, yeah, there's a whole bunch of other anime that is not for children.
Crayon Shinchan, one of my favorites. Not really for children. Not really for children.
My favorite growing up was Vampire Hunter D. So
Battle Angel, oh God, Appleseed, which is kind of more recent.
More recent. But why can't there be things for us? It just, and you know, we shouldn't always have to make a comic book designed for a kid.
No, and I think it's about sort of marketing. You kind of market towards yourself as well. You know what I mean? And it's like, you know, you've got your demographic, and you know, you can market comics to everyone, but you know, they're going to be bland. So you know, I kind of write mine for me, and I know that there's a very small niche of people that are kind of interested in, you know, they grew up the same horror films that I did, you know, the same horror comics. You know, they probably read all the Clive Barker books and you know, all the early Stephen King and stuff like that. So you know, those are my people. So that's what I market my comics towards, I guess.
And I think there's actually a bigger market out there than sometimes people realize. And that's why the people who aren't into them go, oh, this is for children. And it's like, oh, but it's so much more.
Yeah.
And there's so many levels to it. You know, there are comics I could give my son when he was younger. He's now about to turn 29. Now I no longer have to worry about any of that. He's an adult. It's fine. But it just, you know, depending on what you're feeling like to watch that day, which is why I can like everything from, you know, the old DC and the Marvel and, you know, the MCU, totally enjoy it. But, you know, you brought up Pinhead. That's a whole different feeling for me.
Yeah.
And I'm in a different mood when I want to watch that one. So, and as adults, we're complex. So, but I think you're probably very successful because there's a lot of people who actually are looking for that and actually do want that aesthetic because they've grown up with this, and why not? Now it's our nostalgia.
Well, this is it. I mean, like we've all seen the same, you know, we all grew up with the same films, really.
Yeah.
I think, you know, I mean, I was watching horror films when I was very young, so that's probably.
Shh, we don't talk about that.
Yeah. It was a different
That's the whole problem. That's the whole
If
problem.
no, if my mother's watching, I never snuck down.
People of our generation watched all those horror movies when we were younger, and now you know kids watch everything now.
Yeah,
thanks to streaming,
that's
thanks to
a whole
their
different.
phones, they watch whatever they want.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got the horror movies. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. You got the good stuff.
Ben?
I just want to see more weird stuff, basically. Very happy to have. I mean, Sarah is for us. You know, before we had Galactic Geographic, we were in '77 sort of debating what age group we were looking to sell for, and myself and Warwick and Noel had conversations about certain things, and I'm glad that they won. Because you know, and then Andy Sawyers came along, and basically we got the big shiny boobies. So you know, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're going to do I keep saying this. We're going to do a big shiny booby
issue.
Comic.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Get out
that's
of my
good.
system. You know, Warwick, you must be up for it. You know, exploding things as well. So
big shiny booby
exploding knockers.
Why not?
Call it exploding knockers.
It kind of fits with the '70s feel that I grew up with. So.
There you go. A spin-off of Blazer.
Yeah, I mean, I would hire you, Warwick, to do if they're gonna have any balls about them, rebellion. Sorry, they would reprint Action and do Action properly. They would have Death Game 1999 done properly. And they would have Hookjaw done properly.
Yeah.
And they'd have all kids were all okay. And they'd all the stuff that I was 8 years old. And it's clearly had an effect on me. Look at me, I'm deranged. But no, I would see you doing. They call it Spinball, but I would have you doing or Death Race 2000. I think you should do a Death Race 2000 kind of, you know, just yeah. That stuff in the '70s and films were just great, weren't they? They were just carnage. It was just amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
There are some things that came out in the '70s that you look at it now and it's like, okay, if we did it today with CGI, they'd never allow it to be made. The things that we kind of got away with.
Oh come on, Sean Connery is James Bond or Sean Connery in Zardoz. Come on, what's the costume you remember more?
Zardoz.
Oh yes,
Zardoz.
Yes.
Unfortunately,
you
Zardoz.
Can never get that image out of your head again.
Yeah, some images.
Just go. Okay, now how did someone come up with that idea?
Well, I don't know, but it's Warwick down to the teeth. Doesn't that get used to when you think of guys wearing that cross kind of red thing with the, you know, everything?
Should I put a picture up of Zard? No.
Oh,
no. They'll turn off the
station. It is a deep fake because Sean Connery would never have done that film.
No, Warwick does these kind of commissions, don't you, Warwick? You did, and maybe if you still have it, would you be kind enough to send it? I know I've asked you for lots of graphics, but that image you showed me, and I can't remember which con we were at, but of the family portrait commission you did, of the guys on top of the what vehicle was it? Like a Jeep or a Mad Max mobile or something?
It was the vehicle that they got married. I think it was a Morris Marina, but I'd kind of Mad Maxed it up. I chopped it all up and you know stuck on.
And tell the viewers how this family wanted themselves portrayed, and you did it. You know.
Well, it was sort of the Mad Max aesthetic. It was, you know, sort of guns. All the kids have guns, ammunition, as much as possible.
Was it from Texas?
No.
Very British, but
respectable British couple.
Yeah.
Sorry, it does make me think of a Christmas card I've seen. So.
But I love that subversion where you just get that normal straight-laced family, and what they want is they want a dungeon. You know, I'm just saying, you know, whatever.
Yeah. As it happens.
You don't know, it goes up, but they want to hang this in their living room. I take it. That's where it's going to be.
Why
right?
not?
I've pretty much seen a picture of it. It is hanging in their living room. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I put it in mine.
It's a conversation piece, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. I haven't seen it, but yeah, I bet.
You know, I don't know, that fits.
I mean, to be fair, compared to most of the stuff I do, I think it's probably quite a respectable picture.
It's a team picture for you? Okay.
So do you do that? Do you curate your work when you go to a convention, depending on whether you think one of the organizers will sidle over and have a look at it, or do you go, no, no holds barred here. I'm just bringing everything. I'm bringing.
I bring as much as possible. I haven't come across the censors yet. I'm sure it'll happen. I'm sure someone's going to have a word with me at some point. But no, I bring as much as I can. I bring what's there. So.
But I mean,
every con I've been to, it's been like that.
It's good. It's good, clean fun, is all I'm saying. And what shines through always is, I'm not saying it's funny. It's just the humor of it. It's the fact is it's knowing and it's genuine, and that's what I like. You know, come on. I grew up. We did the seaside postcards. Yeah, don't know if you guys know the kind of story of those. But you know, you have to be interested in finding out about things to understand what's being spoken about, and you know, sometimes you leave things to imagination, and sometimes you don't. And you know, that's what I love about Galactic Geographic. Anyway, I think it's had a major influence on the way that a lot of other people approach and stuff that we've taken on afterwards. They go, well, if they can get away with that, we're going to do something.
a lot of people out there may not have, I mean, not a lot, but there are people who are watching it that haven't seen Galactic Geographic. I was wondering if you could give us a, you know, what it's about, what's the general background of that.
It's a kind of sort of space opera. Is that the genre? I guess. With sort of adult themes. It's sort of set, obviously, you know, in space, with an organization called Galactic Geographic, who spend their time sort of documenting sort of alien planets. And is it the first issue? The explorers go down on a planet filming, and they've got like these really kind of sort of crap sort of costumes, sort of they're basically disguised as you know, the local wildlife, and they basically have a bad experience.
A bad experience? Is that all? Just a bad experience.
An intimate experience.
Bad experience
with the local aliens, and one of them ends up, the male ends up pregnant.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's and after that it starts getting a bit body horror and a bit strange, and we've now taken it off in a bit, yeah. In the 77.
And which direction it's gone now? So we've introduced who Sarah is then.
She's a kind of search and rescue agent for Galactic Geographic, and she basically rescues some people from this planet, and we're kind of following her now, and we're being introduced to new characters, and it all kind of expands in a different but also equally adult themed direction. Yeah,
I mean, depending how far you go with us, and depending how many pages we offer, I think it's got 5 or 6 in issue 10. I think I'm not spilling the beans here, but I'll start talking about the fact that we're going to run out volume 2. With volume 1 of the 77 was issues 1 to 6. Volume 2 is 7 to 12. So we're going to probably offer all the strips until issue 12. So you would have another 10 or 12 pages for that. Right. I had a conversation with Noel, and I maybe have had one with you as well, about the fact is that you enjoy doing it, you'd like to take it further. Is it something that if you had the, you know, capability, time, publishing deal or whatever, you'd like to continue working on? Is that something that you feel?
Absolutely. I mean, the part 6, it finishes, you know, it finishes with a kind of team and a setup for future adventures. So yeah, I mean, absolutely, we'd like to you know, continue and explore. You know, it, like the universe is a lot of sort of ideas that Noel and I have. You know, it's kind of crazy, you know, dark, strange ideas of this sort of, you know, sort of bizarre universe that they're in, and you know, we're coming up with a lot of ideas for strange creatures and ecosystems and monsters and, you know, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, you know, we're using it to kind of explore our imaginations and see what the weirdest stuff is that we can come up with, basically. But,
okay, that's going to be a fun afternoon. Okay, I want to do this creature. It's got this purpose. How weird can we make it?
Yeah.
That sounds like a hoot and a half.
It's literally like that. You know, you know, we've been sort of like having ideas back and forth, and there's, you know, some horrendous stuff we're coming up with. So, you know, but fun.
Yeah, make sure you put the fun. It's horrendous. But fun.
But fun.
But fun. Remember, folks, it's fun.
There's
no matter
a
how
tagline
horrendous
if
it
I
is.
ever heard one. It's disgusting, but fun.
But fun.
Well, were you
like
old enough to
Toxic
remember then?
Avenger. Disgusting.
Yeah, so
but fun.
Ken Reed and all of those kind of face transforming stuff he did, Warwick, the scrunging, the kids from Ken Reed sort of, I think it's Whizzer and Chips or Core or Buster. Do you remember those things from the mid 70s, like Monster Fun?
Yes.
So he did transformative things where a kid would turn into something really not very pleasant at all, but you could still see the kid, you know. It was kind of, and it was very innocent in some respects, but your aliens, I kind of, it takes me a while to work out what I'm actually looking at to begin with, and when I work out, I go, oh, that thing there.
Yeah.
Now I see the thing, or that other bit, or wow, look at this.
Wow.
What's next for you? I mean, you've got all these projects that you're playing with right now, but what are we going to see next from you?
The next, we spoke about SkullF. Going, so that's a 6-issue series. That's issue 3's out. The Divided Saint is coming out. I think it's August. Unit 666 is just being sent out. Again, that's with Noel.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I'm not. And of course, the ongoing episodes of Galactic Geographic. At the moment, I'm not starting any new things myself until I've finished the 6 issues I've got of SkullF.
Well, I think that's quite a bit you've got going on.
This is it. Because I think at the height of the pandemic, when I had a lot of time on my hands, I kind of I was committing to a lot of projects, and it was,
overextended.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, the work's coming out consistently. So.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it's like I kind of want to get back on top of it all.
I have a final question, because we're doing final questions, folks. Is Revenger really a bad guy, or is he just misunderstood? Well,
that's the question. I leave that up to the reader to decide. Like, certainly the first book, he's kind of the good guy, but he's just getting it wrong a lot of the time. I think by the second book, when he, after a lot of the butchery and stuff that he does, you're probably, I kind of pushed it to the level where you're meant to go, yeah, he's
moved over to the dark side a little bit much. He
goes to the dark side, yeah. And because I kind of didn't want to leave it open-ended and sort of going on forever and ever. And if you go down that path, there's no way that you're going to stay the good guy forever. Like the idea that Batman could, sort of fight crime for 40, 50, 60 years and sort of not become an absolute horrible bastard at the end. Sorry.
Perfect.
Just you're doing Bastard.
Bastard, yeah. There's no way that he wouldn't be a monster at the end of it. Absolute, terrible human being. So. Because all that has an effect.
So my final question is going to be one that Mark would normally ask, so I'm going to pop in there. So where can people catch up with your work? You obviously have commissioning site. I don't know if you have a patron site. Do you have? Just tell us about where people can get your work.
You can find me on. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. My shop is on Big Cartel. Let me just check the address of that. Just Warwick Fraser-Coombe, all one word, at bigcartel.com, where you can get most of my comics. If not, I'm on Facebook. I'm on Twitter, but I hardly ever use it. Instagram.
We caught up last at Lawless, which is always a good com.
Yeah.
Are you doing Lycav, Thought Bubble? What's your next couple of ones?
Next one is the Lakes, I think.
Fantastic.
I'm at the Lakes. I've applied for Nice in Birmingham, but I've not heard yet. I think I'm at Thought Bubble. I think I got approved for that. And I've applied for MCM as well, London this year, because that's always a good one. But waiting to.
We did our first London Film Comic Con LFCC. Right. Monster, just a monster.
Yeah, it's great.
It kind of spat me out. I mean, it didn't take me a week to get over it, but I was weird for a week. You know what I mean? I kind of got on with it the next day, but then I kind of went for the afternoon, and they're just intense. Just intense. A lot of people coming by, a lot of interaction.
Have you ever done MCM London?
No, I may well come and have a look.
Yeah, because it's vast. It's very, very tight, and it's usually 3 days as well, and they're long days as well, and you meet a lot of people, and it's very.
Yeah, we were doing. So I was leaving South London to go up to Earl's Court. Wimbledon was on. I was in Wimbledon at the time, staying with Pete Weston. It was brilliant, and going against the flow like salmon upstream. It was all the Wimbledon fans coming at one time of the day, and then you're going back, and they come the other way. And yeah, I was leaving the house at 8 and coming home by about 9. You know, it just seemed like an extraordinary long day. Good fun, very energized, you know, but left a bit of a husk. You know, you just go.
I think the next week after those sort of cons are very, very difficult. You know, recovery. It's almost like well, I mean, you know, there's a few drinks involved as well, but it's almost like a week-long hangover.
I caffeinated up terribly. I was drinking a sweetened beverage that has a name like Spoke, and coffee coming out my ears because I just needed to be. I felt like I needed to be on it, you know, bam, 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 and it was just. I don't know. I kind of slept, but I think after 3 days, my caffeine level was just about, you know, incredible. So had to cut back a lot the last week and a half. Oh, Warwick, we were next to Simon Bisley.
Oh yeah.
Mate, he was there at 9 o'clock every morning and worked all the way through till 5 o'clock every day, doing incredible commission work and stuff. The guys have got a great. I've not been up close and worked and seen him work for that sort of time. He's done Lawless previously. In his regime at the moment is just like he's on Monster. He's just literally going, straight at it, just doing it, enjoying it.
Yeah, I mean, like for me, the guy's a massive influence. He's such a talented guy, you know. I remember his ABC Boys kind of blew my mind at the time.
Was that one of those things that you thought I want to be doing stuff because that guy can do that stuff, and you knew about him a bit?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, he pretty much influenced the whole generation. I think a lot of people in Britain learned to paint because of him, because of Horned God. You know, we all started getting the acrylics out and sort of doing all these murky, terrible pages, just trying to be like Bisley, I guess. Yeah.
Do you still do acrylics? Do you still do easel work?
Yeah. I mean, if you look on my Instagram, I mean, I do a lot of mixed media stuff, but I mean, since the pandemic, I hadn't painted in 20 years, and then the pandemic came along and I had more time. So I started, I sort of dug out the 20-year-old acrylic paints. And that, the ones that hadn't completely dried up, I started painting with that again. And it was like I hadn't been away. And
mate, I haven't done comics for 20 years, and then the pandemic came along and I did comics, publishing comics. It's just brilliant, isn't it? I think a lot of people have found it hard to go back to their 9 to 5. Yeah. We've got colleagues who have other jobs as well, and they're struggling now because, as you say, you set up a whole load of IP and work and commissions and you've kept to it, but other people have found definitely have gone, I've got this job I have to do now as well, and
absolutely,
it's hard, but there we go.
All right, let's do some housekeeping. Ben, where can they find the 77, all the stuff that you want them to
we're
know
on Big Cartel, but we just went with the 77comic.net. We got that in, and that'll take you to our site. So the Shift Presents 77 is available through all stores WH Smith's at the moment, which is nice to see, and other major retailers. Proud to say we've got 2 other publications coming out soon. So Lifeboat, Ian Gibson's will be coming out soon. We're just finishing off that, and very proud to be working alongside John Wagner with Bogeyman. And you were saying earlier, Warwick, about working with people and realizing, for me at the moment, I'm just like pinch myself every day at the moment. It's just But I just love working with you guys as well, because the fact is that I wasn't totally aware of your work before, and it really opened my eyes to a whole sort of like plethora of stuff, which is just
Well, it's interesting. Like the UK indie scene there's a whole kind of wave of artists out there, really, and writers as well, who everyone's coming up together, kind of thing. And it's really sort of like like Ian Stopworth and Neil McClements and people like that whose work may have not been published that much, but you look at them and you think these guys are absolutely awesome, and there's a whole wave, and which is really nice about the UK indie scene is the people involved in it, and like
yeah, we've said before as well. I know we want to wrap this up, but we said before people like Ben McLeod, right? Black Dog, similar story to quite a lot of us. I haven't been doing this for 20 years because I had the family, had the business, had to do something in between those earlier years of trying to do this thing. And now we're going, do you know what? Because there's some publications out there, and there's a heck of a load of good ones. Spectrum's out there, Quantum, Sentinel's doing its thing, other indie publishers, 77, along with the other things. It just seems to me, I'm not saying there's like, masses, but there's more. There's definitely more than I remember.
Yeah. Well, I think, I think it feels to me like we're in a bit of a, it's a scene, it's a kind of a wave. And we'll probably sort of look back on some of these days as, it was these past couple of years, I think it's been a real sort of halcyon year for the, the UK indie scene, I would say. There's so many writing titles and stuff.
Well, I look forward to going and seeing you in San Diego when you've been plucked from the UK and deposited in the States, mate.
Well, we'll see.
All right, let me do my housekeeping. You can see or listen to myself and Vicky on MarkWHO77 universe, which is on Subspace Radio Network, which you can find at www.subspace.radio. Oh boy, let me try. You can find it at www.subspace.radio. You can also hear an extended version of our show by going to the internet, trying the MarkWHO42's Universe podcast, where it's at our site, MarkWHO42.com. And it's also available on a lot of platforms. Audible has us on. Hey, Amazon, give me some money. No, I want some money.
Where are these videos, Mark?
Oh, these videos, if you're watching this and you're like, I don't know where I just found this.
Stop.
you can find this and all our old, recent shows of MarkWHO77 on YouTube at www.youtube.com/@the77 publications. Okay, is that good, Ben? Did I get it right, Ben? Am I good?
Great. It's great.
All right.
Yeah. And we're going to have a Facebook page soon.
Yes, we're definitely going to have a Facebook page. Thank you for taking my suggestion. Love it. Okay, Warwick, I want to thank you very much for coming on our show.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, Warwick Fraser-Coombe, and let me just do a shout out. Thank you, Lestat Luchalibre, for the title sequence. And as Binksy would say, stay lucky. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.